Little Women, the 2019 version, is directed by Greta Gerwig, written by Greta Gerwig and Sarah Polley, and stars Saoirse Ronan, Emma Watson, Florence Pugh, Eliza Scanlon, and Timothée Chalamet. It's of course the famous story of four sisters living in the years post-American Civil War, all trying to find their place in the world. Most of them, really all of them, are being pressured into marrying, especially in particular marrying rich, and some of them want that, but others want something else, want something different, and all are trying to just traverse life in their own way, trying to find their own path. Now, I was a huge fan of Greta Gerwig's first feature film, Lady Bird, also starring Saoirse Ronan. That to me is one of the best coming-of-age films we've had in a long time. So I was excited to see what she would do next, and I have to say I am not disappointed. I think Little Women, her version of Little Women, is fantastic. She does a great job at making everything feel very authentic, which is something that she did excellently in Lady Bird, but she brings it to this film as well, which I would say is a bit harder because this, of course, is a period piece, and sometimes period pieces can feel, very stagey, very just phony, but not here, and that's for one due to the amazing production design. All the production design feels very authentic to the times. It doesn't feel phony in any way. It doesn't feel overly theatrical or stagey. And secondly, the chemistry between all of the characters, especially the four main sisters, is extremely great and very realistic, and that is another element that adds to the authenticity of it all. So the production design coupled with the chemistry between the actors, and the dialogue too complements to the screenplay, because the dialogue between these sisters is great and definitely adds to that authenticity. It feels like what characters would actually talk about. Now, I've seen a lot of people complain about the timeline of the film, saying that they can't, that they didn't understand when certain scenes take place, because the film does jump back and forth between present day, or at least what present day is to them, and the past, several years prior. However, I did not have that problem at all, because there's one major thing that differentiates both time periods of the film, and that is the color palette. The scenes taking place in the present are shot with a very blue, bluish, grayish color palette, very cold, very drab, whereas the scenes taking place in the past have a much brighter, warmer tone, and that is really the main aspect of the film that differentiates both time periods. All the performances are great, not just the four main sisters, but also the supporting actors like Timothée Chalamet, Laura Dern, Meryl Streep. They're all fantastic and definitely add much more depth to the four main sisters and just to the entire story in general by having these more outside influences on the four main sisters. And as for those four sisters, all four of them deliver incredible performances and have amazing chemistry with one another, and all four of them deliver a different aspect to the story. Saoirse Ronan's character Jo is the more ambitious one. She's the one who really wants to get out there and break away from social norms and what society wants from her. She wants to be a writer, she wants to be independent, but at the same time she feels lonely too. And that is all communicated extremely well by Ronan's performance, especially when you contrast the scenes in the past with the scenes in the present. In the past, she's a lot more hopeful, a lot more energetic, more ambitious, whereas the scenes in the present, she's a bit more hopeless and dreary, and that contrast is done amazingly, and Saoirse Ronan does a great job at communicating all the different aspects and dimensions of the character of Jo. Eliza Scanlon does a lot with very little. She's given very little dialogue. She's the more quiet and reserved one. She's always kind of in the corner, not really speaking to anyone, but she does so much with just her subtle facial expressions. You can just get one close-up of her and easily tell what is going on in her mind, and what she wants. She never really says what she wants. All the other characters kind of more verbalize what they want in life. She never really states what she wants, but you can tell what she wants through just her subtle actions, her subtle facial expressions, her the slight gestures. But I would have to say that Florence Pugh steals the film. She is not only, I think, the most interesting character as far as writing goes, but the performance that Pugh gives is so real and authentic. She does such a good job at communicating the jealousy that her character has for Jo, and the envy of her, and the slight, not necessarily hatred toward her, but wanting to be in her shoes. She feels that Jo gets whatever she wants, that she's privileged, that she gets anything, that everything just falls into her lap. And that perspective is very interesting, seeing the world through Florence Pugh's character's eyes, seeing the jealousy that she has towards Jo, but also the loving moments between her and Jo. It's a very complex relationship, and all aspects of it, all dimensions of it are executed very well, especially because of the performances from Pugh and Ronan. And the humor also, there's quite a lot of humor in the screenplay, and it's all done very well. It's all very situational. None of it feels forced. A lot of times I find films nowadays that they'll try to add humor in it, and it just comes off forced, or that I feel like that sometimes there should be a laugh track behind a lot of these jokes in modern films, but not in this. All of it is very situational. It makes sense within the context of the scenes, and it's very funny. So overall, I really enjoyed Greta Gerwig's Little Women. I think it's everything feels very authentic. The period aesthetic of it, and also the chemistry between all the actors, feels very real. The cinematography is gorgeous and does a lot in communicating a lot of story elements, particularly the timeline. All the performances are great, with, again, Florence Pugh being the standout. I'm gonna give Greta Gerwig's Little Women a 4 out of 5. So thank you for watching. It really means so much to me. I'm gonna keep posting more reviews in the next following days. So if you're interested in those, stick around, and until next time, see ya.